Good morning, all. As we had started with HTML5 and we discussed some of the properties and features associated with the HTML5 version, like HTML5 has new semantic elements which add meaning to the content and which are used by browser. We have Forms 2.0. It provides persistent local storage where we can use third-party plugins. We can avoid using third-party plugins. We have WebSocket for communication. Amongst the web applications, we have server-sent images for events. We have Canvas, audio and video. We can use geolocation and microdata can be used with HTML5 and it also supports drag and drop. Now, what is HTML5 syntax? Uh, if I talk about HTML5 language, it has a custom HTML syntax and it is compatible both with HTML4 and XHTML1 documents which are published on the web, but it is not compatible with the HTML features of HTML4. Now, talking about the flexibility, HTML5 comes with a lot of flexibility and support, including features like we can both have uppercase tag names and we can also have lowercase tag names as well. Quotes are optional for attributes. If required, we can use them. Otherwise, they are not required. And even attribute values are optional. For example, if we are working with Web Forms 2.0 and we use required, an attribute which can be used with input type. It's an attribute which is a void attribute and we do not have to provide a value for it. So attribute values are optional and also if I am closing an empty element, it is also optional. It is up to me whether I want to close an empty element or not. Now, the very first thing related to HTML5 syntax is the doc type. Now, doc types in older version of HTML were longer as we have to include references to a DTD or a namespace, XML namespace, which is been inherited from HTML concept. But HTML authors need not have to provide that longer reference or a longer doc type. We rather will be using doc type HTML. In the very first line, it will be exclamation doc type HTML. And see, all this doc type is case sensitive. So if I'm writing this syntax, it is all case sensitive in nature. So this will be the very first statement in any HTML5 document. Now, what is character encoding? Character encoding means we can use different type of character sets, and if we are working with HTML4 or XHTML, then character encoding is done in the doc type version, where we will specify the DTD information along with the character set information. But in case of HTML5, an author can use simply a syntax to specify character encoding. Like we can use meta tag as we had used it in head section. We will provide char set which will tell what type of character encoding we want to use, followed by the name of the character encoding scheme. For example, here in I had written UTF-8. So you can write big 5, whichever is applicable in terms of the requirement. So in case of HTML5, we can only specify meta tag to specify a character set, unlike in HTML4. Now, another important thing related to HTML4 head section is the script tag. We have to include, if I'm using a script tag, we have to include rather two basic attributes. One is style, which specifies what type of script I'm using, whether it is JavaScript or VB script, and SRC, which tells the source file, script file, which I want to use, along with my HTML page. So if I'm using an older version of HTML like HTML 4.01 or if I'm using XHTML, then I'll be writing a script type equals to text slash JavaScript, src equal to the my JavaScript file. Now HTML removes this extra information required and we can simply write script src equal to the file name. So we need not have to specify the type attribute when it comes to HTML5. Another is the link tag. Why we use link tag for? We use link tag to include an external style sheet, and a link tag comprises of three basic attributes: the rel, type, and href. So again, in this case also, we need not have to specify this type information. We can remove this extra information because we already had specified that the related file will be a style sheet and the name of the file is this. So the reduced syntax will be link rel equal to style sheet, href equal to the CSS file name. So both script and link tag will not have type attribute in case of HTML5. Now, what are the HTML5 new elements which have been included in document? We will see one by one. The very first is the section. Now, this is a generic, what it represents, a generic document or application section, and it can be used together with all the headings to indicate the document structure. Then we have article. It is used to represent an independent piece of a content of document, such as if you want to include a blog entry or you want to include a newspaper article, then you can use article section. A site. When we want to move our piece of content or when we want to have a piece of content which is related to our page, rest of the page, we can use it inside the site tab. Then header and footer. If I'm using header, it represents the header of a section. Footer represents a footer of the section. The section can be a separate content part which can be used inside a section tag or an article tag, or it can be used for a complete document as well. Then we have NAV or nav. This tag represents a section of the document which is intended for navigation. So all the navigational links can be given inside nav tag. Dialogue is used to mark up a conversation, and then we have a figure tag. Now this can be used to associate a caption with an image. So far, when we had used img tag, we had not placed a caption for our image. So if we want to include a caption with our embedded content like graphic or video, we can use figure tag, and inside this figure tag, we can have fig caption tag to use along with our figure. So let's see one example related to this. I hope this is visible to all of you. So this is my very first HTML document. What I did, I had written doc type HTML. Inside it, then because this is only the doc type information, I have to include everything else. So I had used my HTML tag followed by the head section. Then we have meta tag which includes the character information. Then we can have title of our page, then head section. Now we can have body tag. This body tag will have header. Within this header, we can define any of the heading which we want to display in our page, or any paragraph which we want to be included at the very first part of our page. So I had used one heading and one paragraph inside my header section. Then we have NAV. NAV is used to define navigational links. You can group them. If you don't place it inside NAV, then also it will work. But it gives a special meaning to the page that the content followed by NAV will be all different type of navigational links. So I had used them inside my unordered list. First I had given a reference to Google, then I had given a reference to Coursera, then Graphic University. So I had used three hyperlinks in NavTag. Then I have one article. Within that I had placed a section, and in this section we have one paragraph. An article can have multiple sections inside it. Then we have aside. We can place any content in this also. This is related to the entire web page, and then my footer part. After that, I'll close the body section and the HTML part. Now let's see how this page will appear. So this is how the page will show. This is my header section where I have one heading H1, then I have a paragraph, then I have a link section which comprises of NAV. Whenever I'll click on a link, it will navigate me to that specific part. So This is how it will work, and this is my footer section. So this way, uh, see, all these tags are semantic tags. So what you can do, you can include them in your page to give extra added information to your content. So header means, yes, this is to be placed as a header for a section. Nav, it is used to provide navigational links. Article is used to provide different sections required in a page. Aside is related to the content, which is altogether related to what we had given in our web page, and footer, which comes at the bottom. So see, if you write it somewhere else, let's say if I'll place it here, it does not mean that footer will be shown at the bottom always. It depends on where you had placed your footer. The content of the footer will be adjusted according to that. So the placement is necessary. We have to put it according to our requirement. This only specifies the browser that this content is at the footer of a specified section. So all these are semantic elements which are used in HTML5. Now in the next class we will see some more tags related to HTML5 and we will discuss Web Forms 2.0. Thank you class.